In his 15th year as the head equipment manager, Craig Kogut sits here and is going to talk to us a little bit about his background. First and foremost, Craig, you've been with this team for 15 years. I know you've been around the game a long time. Talk about as a child, though. I know you played the game of hockey and fell in love with it.
Grew up playing probably at the YMCA in Elmhurst. Sunday mornings, group of police guys from Gunzo's. They used to throw me over the fence, and that's probably where I started skating. And then once the guys got out there, I sat there and watched and just been involved in hockey all my life, skating.
Well, I mentioned 15 years. I do recall prior to the 15 years, you were behind the bench with me. We've got a couple of nice photos of that. But you were with the Blackhawks for a year. How was that experience? How did you get that position?
85, 86, I was working at Gunzo's at the time. Gunzo came up to me and asked if I would be willing to do that, and I jumped on the opportunity, and it was a good experience, real good experience.
I think you got to talk about Wally Gunzo. Gunzo's, everybody talks about hockey in Chicagoland, they know Gunzo's. So tell us about Gunzo's. I know that relationship with your family goes back a long time.
I probably hung out at Gunzo's since I was probably 5 years old. My dad would help out on Mondays and Thursdays and Sundays and swept the floors, dusted the shelves to get free hockey sticks while I played hockey, and great guy, just very, very giving person.
Sure was. Your father, obviously a huge influence. I know him around Chicagoland from way back when I was playing as maybe the best skate sharpener in Chicagoland area, but talk about him and what he meant to you and how he helped you get out of the business.
Probably started sharpening skates when I was probably 13 years old in the basement. He had all the high schools, grade schoolers, everybody that played hockey would come to our house after p.m., after dinner, and not go to bed till probably midnight, just helping do repairs, sharpening skates out of the basement there.
Well, he was terrific. And from that and your time with Gunzo's, you opened up your own place. You had several locations, K&K Sports.
Started off in Carroll Stream Ice Rink. After that, we ended up going with a couple of partners in Center Ice of DuPage. And in the meantime, in '94, when my dad passed away, we went out to Glendale Heights Shopping Center, and that really didn't work out after a year. We kind of like closed doors. And at the same time, I was the assistant here for the first year with the Wolves, and it just all worked out perfect. At the end of the first year, I kind of came in and said that I need to go get a real job. Mortgage, kids, and at that time I called the head equipment manager, Tom Bruzak, and told him, Tommy, start looking for somebody. I've got to go out and look for a better job. And he said, don't go nowhere. I've got to quit. And here I am 15 years later.
Well, it's amazing tenure, no doubt about that. So in those 15 years, you've seen a lot of terrific players and people come through this organization. When you look at that and you think about that, who stands out maybe the most, or a couple of guys, and any funny stories during your tenure also that you can think about?
A couple of the guys I'll never forget, of course, Wendell Young's still here, Dallas Aikens, Borky was here, Rob Brown, Steve Malte, I mean, Brian Noonan wore his Stanley Cup ring during our one playoff run, Ben Simon, Dan Snyder, Brad Tapper, Hordichuk. Where do you begin? Where do you begin?
Well, let me ask you then, you just mentioned championship and Brian Noonan with an NHL Stanley Cup championship, 4 championships with the Chicago Wolves, all very, very special. What one stands out maybe the most? Obviously the recent one was just last year, but anything that stands out there?
I think the first one is you don't know, but you knew you were going to win. We could be down 3-0 going into third period. Had a good enough team to come back and just, you knew that the team was good enough to really win that game.
How about babysitting? Obviously these guys are athletes, and you know what, they're great guys on the whole. But day in and day out, boy, you hear a lot of whining, sticks, skates, this and that, give me this, where's this? What's that like every day?
It's tough, especially when you're losing, it's not fun. But when you're winning, you know, and we got a good rapport with the players. You know, we joke around a lot. That keeps me young. They are demanding at times. You know, we do what we can to take care of them. And, you know, being with the great ownership that we have here, we try and take care of the players. And sometimes you can't, and sometimes they get aggravated at you.
Craig, when you look at your position, what you do day in and day out, obviously busy, and you really do pamper to the players. What is the most important thing that you have to do with the players in your job?
I believe the most important part of my job is probably getting the guys out on the ice with even edges, 4 edges, sharp edges. You know, some guys will complain.
Sure.
You're only giving me 2 edges at a time, but skate sharpening's got to be by far the most important. You can't have guys go out there with a high inside, high outside edge, turn an ankle, you know, then it comes back to me.
You are a winner. You are with a winning organization, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been great. I've known you for quite some time, too. Kogut, thanks for the input and insight of your background.
Thank you, Guardsy. Appreciate it.